Nice. We are live. Okay. Hope you all can hear me. We are live here. Probably set that up. There we go. Got a dual screen Periscope. And now I can hear myself on another screen, so that's even cooler. All right, just be a little bit informal. Welcome. My name's Daniel Nichols here at stemjobs.com. You can see some of the lab behind us here. I think that's a lava lamp that I need to turn on. There we go. Okay. Set the mood with a lava lamp. Today we're going to go over the STEM Jobs Approved surveys. So if you guys want to add in any questions as we go along, I will call attention to this because it looks like I'm young. It's a young spot, I think. Go through the STEM Jobs Approved surveys. I'm going to give you the top 10. So top 10 new features about STEM Jobs Approved. And if this all works out, we'll even show a little bit of screens. I need a magazine. So we have a magazine back there. Joe, magazine. Or Glenn. Okay. Isn't all about a magazine, but actually, you know what? Yeah, this giant stack. Thanks. Got that. Not a giant stack right next to me. That's good. Oh, excited about giant stack magazine. So STEM Jobs magazine, for those of you that are not aware of one of the publications, so we have a lot of digital publications, lesson plans, other things. We're reaching about 20,000 high schools around the country. This is one of the tools that we utilize for it. And the only reason I'm bringing this up is because it's got some items in here that I'll walk through. We talk about the publication schedule for STEM Jobs Approved as we go through it. So for those who are unaware, this is the most recent issue that we have. Notice the very cool cow. And we're still looking for a name. So if you guys have any names for the cow, I'll put that up here over on the Periscope side of things. We'll welcome names for the cow. What do we end up with? Like Merv? Is it Merv? I think it was Merv. What's the name of the cow? For those familiar with the publication, we have about 3 of these. So again, about 20,000. I'm blocking the mouse, so you can't read my lips. You have to actually listen. About 20,000 high schools that we reach, and in there we'll publish typically 3 to 4 of these. So these would be 10 hot job spreads, and we'll list the top 10 jobs in certain industries. And with those, we'll actually list, as you'll see on here, the top employers that hire for these jobs, as well as the top schools or colleges that train for this particular job. And so we'll list those for each of the jobs that are on there and then cover a particular industry. So in this case, you're looking at fashion science. All the industries that we're focused on deal with STEM, so science, technology, engineering, and math industries. And so we have the 4 F's of STEM. And in this last issue, I'll look at the issues that are coming out here and go through some of those for you all, and hopefully share some of that information later on. So anyway, in each of these issues, we list these employers as well as the colleges that get listed. We also have a number of partners that we'll do interviews with, go behind the scenes. We look, talk to employers in these spaces or schools that happen to be, or students at schools training in these. You also note that we have these little icons here. This is interesting, watching myself in a video trying to touch the right icon. And these are STEM types. There are 8 STEM types. We've done a lot of research around the STEM types. We'll link those for students. Students will take a quiz online, map them to their particular STEM type, and then from there they'll be able to see how it is that they map to potential careers or interests that may have. And then we'll show the colleges or organizations that train for those careers or opportunities that they may have, scholarships, et cetera, around those, and then who eventually hires these types of jobs. The STEM Jobs Approved survey that we're talking about today helps to determine which employers and which colleges are listed in these spreads. And we'll list these online as well as listing them in the publication. And so that's what kind of an overview of where we're at right now. And I'll make sure that I'm showing any particular questions that you have, just shoot those out to me. So we are a little informal, and use your chat function for that. Going to refer to some of the documentation. Okay, so 10 things you need to keep in mind on these. First of all, this year there are 4 surveys. So last year we had 2 surveys, and one of those was for colleges, the other was for employers. This year we've got 4, so we have colleges, high schools, employers, and then partners. And so high schools obviously is a little different, and partners I think very different than what we've done in the past. And the realization is that around jobs and around students in school, you have really the need for a lot of people to come together within the community to help identify the opportunities that are there for students, but also eventually the career pathways that they may be able to shape. And that takes more than just one organization or entity. So it's STEM Jobs that is part of our mission to help make these connections. And so we figured we're looking at colleges and employers, obviously key parts of that. But when you really consider the concept around workforce development, fundamentally, it's more than that. It is what your community is involved in. So we have a survey for partners and then for high schools this upcoming year. And those are all, I think there's a link right below this Periscope. You probably don't have a link to get there. So it's stemjobs.com/SJA, STEM Jobs Approved, SJA survey. And that will get you to the link site. That'll go live this Wednesday, which is the 15th. So you can push there now. You can register now. We'll let you know when those surveys open, send you the right one, and you'll be able to get into the live survey, take those. And we're talking about today. So 4 surveys this year. Last year, we published results for colleges and for employers, and we did that both in lists in magazines that we have, as well as lists online. And we also then highlight specific organizations around the industries that we're focused on. So those new the new surveys coming out, partners in high schools, will be up live. All of those going live this year, and it will cover the 2015-2016 school year. And we'll have some rollout time frame. So the next piece of this, so that's first, that's number 1. I know it was like a long, drawn out conversation. This is, so number 2, point 2 out of my top 10 here, is that all 4 surveys establish benchmark ratings on the same 4 categories. So there are 4 surveys, 4 major categories, benchmarks across those. And obviously we're not benchmarking college or employer performance against each other, but employers with employers, colleges with colleges, partners with partners. And so there's slightly different questions around these different pillars that we have. But these pillar categories, these fundamental categories, are the same for each of the survey participants, which allows us to do some interesting things, to look at the data and do a comparative analysis along the data. So the first of these is partnership, with the idea of looking at how organizations are strengthening the connection between classrooms and careers. So how are you as an organization partnering with employers, with colleges, with high schools, middle schools, local schools in your area, with organizations like museums, sports team, lots of ways. How are you partnering with them effectively? Are you a lone wolf that's out there? Or do you have developed actual working partnerships with the organizations? And part of this, the reasoning for that stems from my own background experience. Those of you who don't know me need to read the magazine. Or go to stemjobs.com or edu.stemjobs.com. We've got a lot of articles written there. But background-wise, I come from the U.S. Department of Labor, as well as workforce development and healthcare, and have been here helping to create this STEM Jobs resource that we have over the past 4 years or so. And what I found, especially working as an employer hiring individuals, is that we had this sense that it was up to the training institutions, colleges, high schools, whatever, to produce the right talents that was ready for us to hire. And it really wasn't our responsibility as an employer. And that could not be further from the truth. The reality is that employers need to be part of the education conversation, especially in shaping curriculum. If you aren't shaping the curriculum, then you really have only yourselves to blame that you don't have the right workers in the workforce ready for you and for your jobs. So partnership is key, and we look at measuring partnership in a number of different ways, but mostly it is, how are you partnering with them? And specifically, we look at things like apprenticeships, internships, maybe career fairs that you have. So there's activities and there's outcomes that we measure. How many partnerships do you actually have? Are those partnerships viable? Have they been around and active in the last year or so, the last 12 months or not? And so we're looking at those, that partnership area. The second area we're looking at is diversity. So STEM jobs overall, I think most of us in this area understand that there's just a talent gap overall in science, technology, engineering, math related jobs. Lots of ways to define what that is. For us, we define that around the competency level. So science, technology, engineering, math competencies grouped together and requirements that form what we define as STEM jobs. And so the incumbent workforce, 74% are white and male. And you have, of the 3.6 million or so individuals that go, or positions that go unfilled every month, and that's probably about 3.2 million right around now. But every month they go unfilled, and the vast majority of those positions, in fact, require STEM skills. So we ask the question of why is there this gap? And a key part of the gap, you look at the vast majority of research that comes out of either Brookings Institute or the Georgetown study that's out there. U.S. Department of Labor has a number of studies as well. Change the equation. The White House has some great studies. The Girl Scouts of America have had great studies. And what they all point to is that females, minorities, before they even graduate from high school, are simply not pursuing STEM careers. And so what we look at for organizations is how did you set the organization up to help change that equation overall? Do you have diversity in your organization, especially as faculty or as leaders? What does the diversity mix look like in the classroom? What does it look like for the employer standpoint in the actual job itself? We find that individuals talking to females as they're in this transition period, if you don't see yourself in these jobs, it becomes very difficult to project yourself in those roles, see others like yourself in them. And so we're looking at organizations, and frankly, when we look at the scoring and the benchmarking, this is unfortunately the lowest score across the board. I think it's reality. 74% of the workforce, white male in these jobs. So the goal is to increase that, and I think we see that overall. Silicon Valley, you've got that for sure. That you're just finally publishing information. That's some of the things we look at. Do you even publish this information? Is it publicly available? If it's not, the likelihood that will change as an organization is pretty slim. So that's diversity piece of it. The next part is opportunity. So our opportunity index, and specifically it is what are you doing as an organization to provide opportunities for students? Certainly providing, opportunities overall, but are you engaging in events? Do you have scholarships, internships? Are there ways that you are inviting students to participate, especially secondary high school students, what we're looking at? So that's the student opportunity piece that we're asking. The final piece is career. So are you committed to career development and success? I think it's perhaps relevant to suggest that the traditional concept of career is dead. And so as we look at this career index piece, we're really looking at something I call career resilience. So students, the likelihood that somebody's going to follow a specific career path, end up in that career path after they graduate, it's pretty slim to begin with. That they'll stay with an employer for a long period of time is also next to impossible nowadays. But there are employers that are doing things to change that equation. There are colleges for sure that are changing those dynamics, especially in these STEM majors, which tend to be more rigorous majors overall and challenging, perhaps requiring more credit hours, certainly lab hours, those types of things. And so what they're bringing sort of supportive elements around individuals that are coming into these careers, all individuals coming into these careers. And that's an important piece we're looking at. And also looking for employers that have a sense of career. I know one of the thought processes in the boardrooms for years now has not only been the sense that, it's up to the education establishment to train them for our organization, but that it's also a matter of once they get here, they need to figure out how to stay and do work for us, and that we don't want to train them because we're just paying them and training them to go work for somebody else if we do that. I think our top employers, those that get across these benchmarks, understand that investing in people is critical, and investing in the critical skills for people helps to retain them in the organization that you're at. And so those are the kinds of questions that we ask. Are you set up just to, do you even have entry-level positions? Do you have opportunities for students to work into your degree programs, to find other pathways there? Maybe they didn't focus as well or do so well in high school. Are there ways and pathways that you've built opportunities for individuals to come into the organization and to build lifelong careers in ways that are sustainable over time? So we're going to touch briefly on that career concept too, the career resilience concept, right? So for students, especially, and really anyone looking at your career overall, how do you know what you'll be doing in 10 years? And it's interesting, we really base and require our education system to prepare students and individuals for work. And that may be 5-10 years down the road, especially when you're looking at secondary education. We have no idea what the jobs are going to be in 10 years. To be quite honest, a lot of the jobs today did not exist 10 years ago. And so we look at the skills that will be needed and that will be in high demand and that are trending toward those high demand jobs and occupations, or that provide the type of competence or competency, as we call it, the right types of knowledge, the types of skills that allow an individual to move from career to career, or from different levels of jobs across their career span. And so those are the skills that we're looking in and honing on. It wouldn't be interesting, right, to be able to project and say that these 10, 12, 13 skills are the things you should focus on, because by gaining these 10 to 12 skills, you'll be effectively eligible for 80% of the jobs that are out there. And you'll prepare yourself to be the most in demand. That's precisely what we've done with our STEM types, is we've actually taken the skills overall, the competencies overall that are in the greatest demand, and we've combined them together or clustered them together in 8 different cluster areas. And so as students find out what they love, what they like, and what they enjoy, and share that and discover that through the quiz that we've got, they're able to make those connections to the skills, to the competencies, and then we help to make the connections from competencies into the individuals that train for that, the institutions that train for that, the organizations that hire for those skills. And that's fundamentally being part of the STEM Jobs Approved survey process really feeds into all of the information that we provide for students here, but also online. So that's that piece. The next one I've got is, so those are 4, right? So that was 2 out of 10. It sounded like it was 10 out of 10, but 2 out of 10. So the third area is that these 4 categories of recognition, we have 4 surveys, we have 4 pillars or categories, and then we have ways to recognize you, and there are 4 of those. I don't know why, I guess at the time we were writing the 4 F's of STEM, we just figured the 4 was a great number. Go figure that. Anybody have any idea why we did that? No? Yes. Please look back there. So we have 4 categories of awards that will be rolled out this year. And so the first of those is the STEM Jobs Approved status. What does that mean? That means that as you take the survey, you'll be scored along these 4 indices, and then you will be benchmarked along the 4 indices. And the lowest sort of initial level is at becoming STEM Jobs Approved. And that effectively means that across all of those, you hit a certain benchmark. So just as an instance, last year among colleges, we invited I believe 2,400 colleges based on publicly available data to participate in the survey. About 1,200 or so that participated. We selected 200 that were STEM jobs approved. So we'll see. Hopefully the benchmarks will, we'll see how those look this year. I assume that they're going to rise from what was scored last year. But we're very hopeful that enough steps have been taken over this last year to allow more organizations to reach that approved status. But that's the base level, is the approved status. After the approved status of things, we have industry awards that will be given. So with every issue, STEM Jobs Magazine, we focus on 4 industries. So again, the number 4. Keep that in mind. Within the 4 industries, we recognize those colleges and employers, and we will be doing partners as well as high schools. But partners will be a new one in these spreads this year. We recognize those schools and employers that are doing the best job in terms of just that industry itself, and so we'll be awarding industry awards with each issue. And in fact, we've got 4 issues. Number 4 keeps dropping up. So we've got 4 issues. That recognition piece will come with each issue that comes out. And so the next issue will be land, air, sea, and space science. Land, air, sea, space, and science. We're recognizing the top 5 colleges, the top 5 employers, the top 5 partners, and if we have enough participation on the high school side, the top 5 high schools in each of those industry segments, granting with an industry award. That recognition will show on the website. We'll have press releases around that, show up in the publication, and show it up as well in some of the handouts and materials that we have for teachers, for parents, and for students that are part of our readership overall. And so that's the first award piece. The next one, that'll start September. So the survey opens Wednesday. Your survey will need to be completed by August 15th in order to be considered for the first batch of industry awards that are coming out. We'll have new industry awards with each successive issue, 4 issues. So we've got a November issue, a February, and then an April issue. And we'll have released with that the different industries we'll be focusing on. The next piece is the national award. So we'll have recognition of national awards. And I think if I can share my screen, we'll show you a little bit of what that actually means. You can't see that on Periscope. So type, if you go to stemjobs.com, and once that comes live, let's see if this works here. Sorry, blank time, not a great thing on here. Screen share. Okay. All right, new to Hangouts here. Not seeing the screen share happening. So we'll just ignore that for now. Keep rolling. All right, so stemjobs.com. If you go to STEM Jobs Approved in the bar, you'll get to STEM Jobs Approved Employers. And that listing actually looks, I think I have paper here, fairly similar to this, although it's a digital version of this. For you all, you'll see the 4 categories scored across here. In this case, this is a top 25. I'll show this to you guys as well. So this is a top 25. We actually ranked the top 25, but you'll note that you've got different color coding within this, and the darker ones, lighter ones actually. The darker ones are national awards. The lighter ones are your industry awards. So most of those that end up as being our top award winners, I'll talk about that briefly, start with industry awards. Then we'll issue national awards. That'll take place in the December issue. So in order to be considered for a national award, you need to complete the STEM Jobs Approved survey by November 15th. So that's our date for the national awards. And then those, you roll through them. Again, press release that we have out, publications that go to the students and teachers that we have. Currently teachers and counselors, about 75,000. We've got plans to push this to parents as well this year. And along with the industry awards. So that's the national award piece. For the national awards, the difference is that STEM jobs approved, you have to hit benchmarks overall. It's an overall average, we'll put it that way. So you may not hit all 4 benchmarks, national benchmarks, in order to get STEM jobs approved, but you have to exceed the benchmark of the total score, the total average score. For the national, for the national award, you'll need to actually reach over the benchmarks for all 4 categories in order to be considered for the national awards. The final award piece is our STEM Jobs Approved Top 50. So last year we had a top 25. Those are the ones that are listed here, and we actually score them out. This was just employers. So this year we'll actually be doing colleges, partners, employers, and high schools as well. But that'll be new. And we do a ranking. So we take the top national award winners and we do the ranking. For those who had followed last year, BP was our #1 this year. BP, Exelon, DuPont, Alcoa, Sprint, Teleperformance, Excel, Nestle, Apple. Guess I'm going to read them all as well, right? Graphic Packaging International, Southwest Airlines, Amazon, Frontier, Mid-American. I should probably know these by heart, but Yazaki, Parsons, BAE Systems, Amtrak, Puget Sound Energy, Cubic Corporation, LP Building Products, Transdev North America, Intelligrated, Steris, and Siemens Corporation. So those were our top 25 from last year. This year we'll have a top 50 award. Those will be awarded in the February timeframe for colleges, in the April timeframe for employers. There'll be 2 different issues and timeframes for those. All right, so that's 3 out of 10. So I hope you're still hanging with me here. The 4th is our STEM Jobs Approved designation. So the base level designation will be awarded upon completion of the survey. So prior, you had to complete the survey, and then we go through the scoring benchmarking process. Since we have benchmarks already established from last year and from some of the research foundations that we've got, you'll be given that notification immediately. So take the survey, you'll be notified whether you have reached STEM Jobs Approved status or not, and then we'll move on from there. How to get that out, logo, access, those sorts of features for you. That's 4. That was a quick one. 5, our industry awards will be given in conjunction with each issue of STEM Jobs Magazine. So again, during the survey process, a key piece of this and how we figure this out. So during the survey process, we ask survey participants to select the top 10 industries, or in the case of an education institution, the top 10 major subjects that they focus on. And we look at these through curriculum codes as well. So we have some of that information as it is, as well as your NAICS codes. But we like to know what are important to you. And so based on what you select as an employer or as a college or as a partner, you'll be designated in those particular industries. So your survey participation is crucial for that piece of it. So that'll be the industry award. Number 6, national awards, again, awarded at the end of 2015. Again, I go through this and I actually told you all this, but I'll tell you again. To be considered for a national award, you must pass the benchmark ratings on all 4 categories. And there's no limit or minimum to the number of national awards that we'll end up giving out, but you've got to reach above the benchmark in each of those areas. The number 7 out of 10, so we're almost done. The top 50 STEM Jobs Approved awards, and so we have the top 25 this year, this past year. Going forward, we're going to have a top 50, and that'll be a little bit different because we're going to base that on size of institution. So if we have enough national award winners, we'll do ranking based on different sizes. This past year, we required on the employer side, 500 million in revenue and above, and then we had some one-off sort of national awards that we did for smaller organizations. So it is possible, as long as we have a large enough group that pass the national benchmarks, to be able to release a top 50 list. Otherwise, we'll stick with the groupings we have larger. We did not do this for colleges, and certainly didn't do it for partners last year, so we will be doing that. But we're going to try to group you in like organizations. And so it'll be based on the survey information that you provide for us. Number 8, there's only one place you need to access your survey. So in the past, we needed your email information, your organization, needed the right contact, and then eventually we got a link out to you, and sometimes it wasn't the right person that filled that out. It was a little bit of a mess. We've simplified that, so there is one location that you need to go to, and that is stemjobs.com. I think I can type that out here, right? stemjobs.com/SJA survey. There you go. Nice. So that's there and about eligible for you here on the Hangouts. As Periscope, just hopefully you got a good memory. Remember that. The final piece, all rankings will be listed on stemjobs.com. So again, let me try one more time to share this. Oh, it does. It's working. Perfect. Okay. That looks, oh, okay. I was going to say, well, that looks terrible. Now I got to pause, and y'all are going to leave me here. Okay, I think I've got that. So you can see, hopefully you can see the screen here. That is stemjobs.com, and let me see if that, well, it does. Good. Okay. So under STEM Jobs Approved, you'll see we have a connection to employers, and then we have the link to colleges. So we have a PDF version you can take, as well as this digital version. What I find, I think, even more exciting, this one will filter by so farming technology. These are some of the industry awards that we gave out last year. Again, just for employers is where we loaded that. I know what you're thinking to yourself. You're thinking, well, it's pretty boring. It's just this, you know, it is one of the most visited sections of the site, but I know it's just a table, right? What's cool is that table, that data, that information actually goes into the whole platform. I talked about the STEM types. And so we're showing you the STEM type quiz. You can actually click on the STEM types. And so you'll see the 8 that we have here: advisor, designer, explorer, integrator, investigator, maker, producer, solver. Go to stemtype.stemjobs.com, and actually anyone can take that. And I'll share that there. So of those types, and this is, so students will take this, about 65 questions. We did a lot of analysis around it. Again, these are the clusters of competencies that are in high demand in STEM jobs, and that's what we're measuring. And then asking students not like a psychological profile, but your interest. Do you like this? Do you not like this? We get sort of a Likert scale approach to it, and then they'll be given their top 3 STEM types. From there, they get to investigate items. So let's say we pick designer. We have a whole new release of this that's coming out. So this is fairly basic. We have now, let's say I want interested in aerospace engineering, because that fits into the designing, into the designer type. A lot of the designers tend to be, as you can imagine, on the engineering side of things. Maybe you didn't imagine that. But what you end up listing is these different universities. So I have Andrews University. Andrews was one of our STEM Jobs Approved colleges from last year. They provide training in engineering in this area. So we'll show some of the information that comes out of the survey. So average tuition, enrollment in STEM program, total enrollment overall, what the score was, the STEM jobs score, information about how to connect with them. There's a whole new realm and version that we'll be doing another hangout about once we move that into our production site. And eventually, as you do your survey, it's all going to come in here, and it basically becomes a profile. And what we do is we end up matching students to your organization, which is obviously great for the students, and hopefully great for organizations that are participating with us. All right, so let me swap from there. There we go. Back to my mug. So that's our STEM Jobs Approved, and where your data ends up going into this whole platform that is used in the classrooms, which is a pretty exciting piece. And that's why important to take part of the survey. And what we'll end up doing when we roll into these profiles for organizations is the data you've put into this survey system, we've already mapped out. So it'll just flow into the new profile system once we develop it. So don't worry about taking it twice. I know that's not a fun thing to continually enter data all the time. So no worries about that. So you'll get listings all over the place effectively in print. You get the listings on the website in the basic searchable form, filterable form. You'll get it as well in the STEM type platform. And then number 10 is, I need like a bell or a ringer or something. But, so number 10, each survey includes the ability to nominate other organizations. And that's a key piece that is very different from last year. So in the end, what we're looking for as part of the survey is, are there colleges, are there employers, are there partners, are there high schools that you are already working with that you would nominate as being a good partner? And so we'll be feeding that in. The initial portion of this won't be feeding into scores for this year, but that will help to feed into scores for next year. So hopefully you'll share a little bit of love with those partners that you are working with and help to nominate them for recognition, again, as industry awards, for national awards, and then for the top 50 awards overall. So that's my 10 for STEM Jobs approved surveys. Again, they roll out live on Wednesday. They'll be open through the end of May, I believe, when we'll close them out. Though if you wait that long for it, you're going to miss all the industry awards that go through. And students and teachers and parents like myself who have one graduate and then 3 more on the going through that funnel there, looking for where do I go to work and where do I go to school, or where do I go to college after school. So you'll miss all that activity and that piece. And we really look for these survey participants too for the stories. We like to go behind the scenes. And so a lot of the interesting content that we're rolling forward with, I know that obviously we've got Land, Air, Sea, Space, which is up next. And I've got some behind the scenes with Lockheed Martin and I think SpaceX, I want to say, with the NOAA, and with a few other organizations. We've got some other stories we'd like to roll. So give a shout out to us if you're part of that world, either training in that world or part of employing in that world. The November-December issue will begin to announce the national awards. Are going to focus on what we will call the 4 industries never grow up, but real life superheroes. So we have first responders, police, fire. We have toy design and engineering, which should be interesting. And then some other music is a big one that's coming in that issue as well. The issue after that will focus on biology. So all areas of biology, genetics, healthcare. So that's that perspective. And then we have extreme STEM industries. And so we look at extreme materials, manufacturing, extreme environment work, and some other cool areas like that. So lots of cool stuff. I know our readership is excited to hear from you and learn more about you. The only way that we can share more about you, obviously, is to get some information from you. So thanks for hanging out with me today. We'll be back in the future. So keep this link. If you weren't on here before, it's just stemjobs.com/hangouts. And come hang out with us later on. Again, once we start releasing some of the new functionality in our applications, we'll be showing that and demoing that right here. We're having some other conversations, some interviews, et cetera, behind the scenes work that we're doing. So again, thanks for your time today. Daniel Nichols with STEM Jobs, and as always, do what you love.